Hi, so my name is Sam Sickinger, and I wasn't in class on the day that we discussed this topic. So I thought I'd just share a few of my thoughts in this discussion board. The first one I wanted to talk about was I think it's pronounced Hendius on the musically beautiful reading. I just chose a few questions from this reading that I wanted to discuss. The first one I wanted to talk about was how should we understand beauty and ugliness? I basically just kind of described this as beauty and ugliness in music are about like how like the music is actually like put together, and not really, and I would say like kind of like the emotion that it gives you. So like how it makes you feel when you're listening to it. So that's like kind of what I described it, and I feel like beauty in music, and beauty in like a person, or like just like beauty has very different meanings, and I think that it just depends like what you're talking about. So if you're talking about it within music, it could be like about what it sounds like, how it makes you feel, like how like everything comes together, maybe the story behind it. There's also like beauty in life, which there's different aspects of that, but I feel like that's a different topic to go on to. And there's also like beauty in a person, beauty in like your soul, like not just looks, but so beauty has like multiple like very different meanings. Specifically, like what does beauty mean in music? Um, Beauty in music, I feel like is just the sound itself. Because with music, it's not about how it looks. It's about like the story, showing emotion, and then the form and the structure of how like the music just appeals to yourself with your ears. And then just like a way that we can experience beauty in music is just when you like listen to it and you listen more in depth, you like listen to actual stories trying to tell or like the message that it's trying to convey. um and then just like how like the rhythms and the moves of it like change, and just like noticing that, so like such as like the patterns and the rhythm, and then just like looking back on that, like what it reminds you of. Maybe it will connect like some sort of story to your own self, something like that. So that was just the first reading, just my thoughts on the first reading that I want to discuss. And then the second one on Janet Bignell, I think that's how it's pronounced. The first question was what music abilities do humans, including infants, have, and what about some animals? So I went in depth of talking about like infants, adults, and children, and then animals, and like just the differences between those three. For infants, I think like music like abilities they have is like just making sound, because they can't really talk, but just like the sounds that they make with their mouths, that aren't necessarily like full words but just like sounds. um Maybe just like even clapping, um or like tapping something like that, just kind of like I feel like the music abilities that infants have. And then when you're adults or like children, you build up more complex, I guess you could say, like more higher up complex skills. And these would include like harmony, different pitches, and just like noticing like the different like vibrations and patterns that like music can create. Um, and then you also like develop these skills more as like you get older. So those are the differences between like infants and humans. It's just like more experience as you get older. And then lastly, I want to talk about animals, and how they have music. The first thing that came into my head, like thinking about animals with music, is birds, because birds they make different like pitches and sounds, and chirps, and they have like different kinds of mating calls that they have. So this is kind of what I thought about with that. And also, I feel like birds or like any animals, they use music as kind of a way to, maybe not even music. I don't know if they consider it as music or not, but just like ways to communicate. Um, like dolphins or whales, they use, I forgot the word, but they use echolocation, I think it's called that. And that could be like a form of music to communicate. And then I guess animals could also like learn some sort of rhythm, like maybe they're smarter than we think they are. So then some of these things could like overlap with like the same stuff that humans have, in terms of like musical traits and all that. But that is basically what I wanted to talk about and discuss about those two readings. I hope this was helpful and that my talking points were okay. Thank you.